heroes versus healers versus hustlers versus brains versus brawn versus beauty versus blood versus water 2.
You know what, Jeff? I think I'll go with the No Collar Tribe.
As a coconut vendor, I seek truth. I'm a seer of real.
After Survivor 40 several, I'm ready for some themes to come back. I really do miss them. Or maybe I just miss the format not being the exact same for every single season, 6 seasons straight. Holy shit, please just switch things up a bit. Please. I'm begging you. It's weird how much I miss them. I spent a lot of time in my youth clowning on themes. I mean, come on. Heroes versus healers versus hustlers. Ghost Island. White collar versus blue collar versus no collar. I'm sorry. I thought this was Survivor, not trying to dress up my dog. So let's find out if themes make for a better season of Survivor. Once again, shout out to Survive R. It contains IMDb ratings for every single episode of Survivor and any other data you could care to know. I would kiss it, but it is a data set, so I can't do that. Survivor, in its entirety, has an average rating of 7.57 on IMDb. I'd give it a much higher score, and I'm sure all of you would as well. That's probably because you care enough to watch a YouTube video discussing the merits of themes on Survivor. Speaking of which, subscribe. Here's a graph showing each season and its episode's average rating. I'm starting with this to paint a picture of the sort of people we're working with. We're not necessarily working with Survivor superfans here. We're working with people who just cared enough to go on IMDb and give the season's episode a rating out of 10. This means these rankings might look a lot different than yours. I know they look a lot different to mine. We're also dealing with people who really fucking hate Survivor 41. We'll take these seasons and group them into 4 categories. There are versus seasons. These are themes that revolve around X versus Y, such as blood versus water, old versus young. You get the picture, you're a smart cookie. Next we have island themes. These are themes that revolve around a titular island, such as Panama, Exile Island, Ghost Island, Edge of Extinction. These all are seasons that exist. Then we have All-Stars seasons. We can argue which category heroes versus villains fits in, but I've put it here, along with all other seasons that exclusively feature returning players. That leaves us with Unthemed seasons. Now, I kind of hate calling the category this because all seasons have a theme. Survivor Pearl Islands is themed around pirates.
Whose are these? Pirated. Ugh.
Survivor China is clearly heavily themed around Chinese culture, and Survivor 41 is themed around annoying as many people as possible in the shortest time span. So these are seasons that have a theme, but not one that fits any of the prior 3 categories. With that classification out of the way, let's find out what makes a good season of Survivor. Let's start with the unthemed seasons, which are the logos shown here. Put them in order from first to last for a chance to win the knowledge is power advantage. It'll come as no surprise to anyone, but the lowest rated unthemed season is Survivor 41, with an average rating of 5.52. Its best episode according to IMDb was episode 10, where Shan got voted out, which still only hits a 7.3 out of 10. The worst? The finale? 4.8, goddamn. No other season in the unthemed category averages below a 7.3, so I'm almost tempted to call 41 an outlier, but we'll leave it in for now. If you are curious, the lowest non-Survivor 41 unthemed season is Survivor South Pacific, an average rating of 7.31. Its best episode was The Merge.
For revenge, basically.
And the worst episode is the recap. I considered excluding recaps and reunions from the data, but Survivor 41's finale gets lumped in with the post-show, and I actually really like some of the recaps, so it didn't seem fair. Also, South Pacific is unthemed because people who voted in this poll said so. So thank you very much for voting if you did. The best unthemed season? Survivor Pearl Islands with an 8.26 out of 10. The best episode is the premiere with an 8.8 out of 10. The worst is a tie between quite a few on 7.9 out of 10, so still really good. These are the episode where Michelle is voted out, the episode where Rhino is voted out, the episode where Krista is voted out, and the reunion. It turns out the reason this season is super popular in online Survivor spaces is that it's a really good season. Cumulatively, unthemed seasons have an average rating of 7.5 out of 10. Removing Survivor 41 does bring it up to 7.59 out of 10. Here's that in graph form in case you're curious how all the unthemed seasons rank against each other. It's certainly something. Now let's move on to the juicy stuff, the themes. Let's start with...
I don't have the apartment.
Well, obviously, dude. I've never been in your apartment. I don't know if it's or not. It was an adjective.
I know.
Don't take everything so personal.
Island themes. These are seasons that revolved around some sort of island. Happens more often than you think. Panama Exile Island, Redemption Island, Ghost Island, Edge of Extinction, and Island of the Idols. Another no-brainer for the worst out of these 5, Redemption Island. It sits at a 6.77 out of 10. Its best being the premiere at a 7.5 out of 10, well below Pearl Island's worst offerings. Its worst rated episode is Rice Wars with a 6.2 out of 10. Honestly, I don't think Redemption Island is that bad, but I did binge it both times I watched it. It was probably painful week by week. Now the best island season. The greatest island season of all time. Well, it has everything. Amazing characters, a fun underdog, a complete collapse of a satisfying conclusion in the last few tribal councils. That's right. It's Edge of Extinction? Wait, what the fuck? Edge of Extinction scored 7.76 out of 10. What a weird season. It's probably got the most unique edit of any season, because the winner wasn't around for most of it. This let the editors just do whatever the hell they wanted for most episodes. If you like Rick Devens, which I assume most of IMDb do, then you're in for a treat. If you don't like Rick, oof. Its best episode is the episode where Julia gets voted out, which is an 8.6 out of 10. It's a fun enough episode, it's got its moments.
I'm ready to jump ship.
Oh. Are you okay?
Oh my god, she lost her damn mind.
Its worst episode is the reunion, with a 6.8 out of 10, which to be fair, it is a bad reunion. If you don't count that, then it's the finale with a 7.3 out of 10. Overall, Island seasons score 7.29 out of 10, putting them below unthemed seasons. Is it because the centralized island is quite distracting and takes away focus? Is it because there's just been more unthemed seasons? Let me know what you think. Let's move on to... Versus seasons. These are the seasons themed around a conflict. Fans versus favorites. Blood versus water. Brain versus Brawn versus beauty. Haves versus have-nots. Race. You know, the classics. The best versus season is Survivor Cagayan with an 8.07 out of 10. The best episode here is the Merge episode, Iconic, with a 9 out of 10. Even the worst episode is a solid 7 out of 10 reunion. On the flip side, Surviving Nicaragua sits at a 6.89 out of 10, which I just flat out disagree with. Nicaragua is a really fun season, but it did have the unfortunate task of following heroes versus villains, arguably one of the best seasons in the entire show. Its best episode is the finale with a 7.8 out of 10. And we all know what the worst episode is, right? That's right. It's the recap episode with a 6.1 out of 10. The quit episode is nowhere near the bottom, that stuff is entertainment gold. Looking at the Versus season rating chart, these seasons tend to average higher than both island-themed seasons and unthemed seasons. Although with a 7.55 out of 10, if we remove Survivor 41, unthemed seasons can eke ahead. My theory for this is how humans work. Humans are big fans of rooting for tangible things. It gives you a sense of belonging. It's why I think Heroes vs Healers vs Hustlers is rated quite low. Aside from the season being, you know, completely average, who's forming an emotional attachment to being a healer? Does anyone genuinely think there's an age-old battle between the heroes and the hustlers? I know that Survivor casts first and then themes later, but this is definitely the biggest stretch to come up with a theme. Although David vs Goliath was another stretch, and that's one of the greatest seasons of all time, so what do I know? The last themed category is the All-Star category. I made this category last and genuinely didn't realize they were all All-Star seasons until after I'd done it with Heroes vs Villains in the Versus theme. Maybe Heroes vs Villains does belong in that category, but come on, it's an All-Stars season. Also, fun fact, did you know the silhouettes on the logo correspond to the castaways on the season? Pause now and see if you can get them all right. Anyway, the worst All-Stars themed season is, funnily enough, Survivor All-Stars with a rating of 7.74 out of 10. Its best episode is the premiere with an 8.3 out of 10. Worst? A tie between Sue's Quit and the recap episode, both sitting at 7.3 out of 10. The recap episode is pretty fun though, not gonna lie. The fact that this is considered the worst All-Stars season astonishes me. Game Changers is right there. But the fact that Survivor All-Stars rates higher than Survivor China, Gabon, and Tocantins really speaks volumes to what the average IMDb user is after in a season of Survivor. They're after characters they already know and love competing again. They're after people they have an emotional attachment to. They're after people who want to return, who want revenge, and who want redemption. And that's why the highest rated season from the All-Stars grouping is Survivor Cambodia Second Chances. Its best episode is, of course, Sierra being voted out? Huh? That's a 9.3. Cully's Idol Play is only 9.2. The worst episode is the reunion at 7.4. I think the season is custom built for the average Survivor fan who cares enough to rate things on IMDb to care about it. It's got characters that you actively voted to compete again. Well, if you lived in America at the time of Worlds Apart airing. Sucks to be me. I would have voted for Shane Powers. But not only that, it has a theme that's easy for anyone to get behind. We've all had regrets. We've all wanted to have another go at something. We've all wanted that second chance. Looking at our results, it seems island-themed seasons are the worst, then unthemed, then versus seasons, and then lastly all-star seasons are the best. Let me tell you, this is not how I expected the ranking to go when I began. I do think it's easier to get invested in a season with a fun theme behind it. I said a fun theme. I said a fun theme. Yo dude, Survivor 46? That's meaningless to me. Why should I care? Why should I get invested? What's the hook? Survivor David vs Goliath? Stupid ass name, but at least I know what to expect going in. What do you think of these results? What's your favourite theme on Survivor? Let me know in the comments below, I'm quite interested to find out. I've been Henry Hickman Survivor, and I'll see you on the No Collar Villains Hustlers Brain Water Fans Tribe.